Evening everyone, and welcome back to the English Shooting weekly live stream. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you everyone so far for joining and waiting. I saw there was a number of you waiting there for everything to come on, so thank you for your patience, and hopefully a few more will join us as the stream evolves. It's been an interesting week, to say the least. There's been a few interesting developments on subjects that have, sort of captured our attention for quite a long time, and either they've come to a head or they've developed a little bit more. And of course the biggest is around the Mars and lever release surrender and confiscation and the offensive weapons bill that basically led to that, which is sort of the main topic of this stream, because there's going to be so many different sort of splinter subjects that come off of that. So yeah, usual deal. Of course, we've got our subjects and topics to cover, but there is a chat. You can use it, ask questions, suggest topics, anything you want to talk about, really, gun related or otherwise. I'm here to answer questions and have basically a good chat. And don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button, and of course give this stream a big fat thumbs up, because it helps with the analytics and helps the channel. If you're a regular on the streams, you know the deal. You should just do it automatically. So yeah, again, hope you're all doing well. Loads of hellos, a few familiar names. So again, thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to start the stream on a positive note, because obviously we're going to have a bit of a chat about this pink gun debacle. So we talked, I think, last week a little bit about the Kentucky trip. So it is going ahead, and we will be doing it, and I'm very happy to show the first bit of booking. I'm trying to get the picture in line so I can share it on the screen for you. We've actually booked our accommodation, so let's get that up on the screen. So lovely little porch and campfire. This is in like deep woodlands of Kentucky, so there's going to be, I think this potentially could become the party house, as it were, and we've also got another shot of it, so out in the woods there. So if you're toying with the idea of going to Kentucky with American shooting trips, stop toying. Just book your tickets and talk to David. David is here on the screen, but yeah, very much looking forward to it. There's a couple of regulars that appear on the screen, on the stream even, who will be joining us. So very excited for that. Should be a load of fun. It's going to be fun on the range. It's going to be fun in the evenings there as well. I think David even said that it's quite likely that we would be able to shoot actually on that property, which would be pretty cool. Come home from the range, go into your back garden and let off a few rounds. But of course, we're not going to do anything that the owner of the property and sort of renter of the property doesn't like. And of course, we're certainly not going to do anything that's illegal and going to get us in trouble. So, I'm not the hottest with American shooting laws or American gun laws, but the number of visits that I've been out there and people have said, yeah, we just rock up at the side of the road and just start firing into the distance. Little different to how things are here, but it's certainly interesting nonetheless. Let's just see if there's a few topics that you guys want to talk about first, and then we get into this pink rifle business. So take your shirt off. No, Daniel, that's not going to happen. You've drunk 3 glasses of wine before the stream. That's going to be very interesting. I'm out of sync. Am I out of sync? Try refreshing the page. I don't. It's completely the same setup as last time. Just sometimes refreshing does help. So apparently this comment got hidden, but how come it's the same guys every week? Well, it's me every week because, well, it's me. I know a lot of you are missing Connors, and there's, I guess, the same people in the chat because I guess they like the channel, they like the streams. So it's good to have some regulars. We seem to have conversations that flow over week to week, which is always nice. Yeah, an update on Connors. Well, he's still, obviously, because of COVID and everything going on, trying to get him on the stream is proving a bit difficult logistically, but he is still there. We we see each other most days. It's all good. David Kiddle saying, on the note of American shooting trips, only 10 spaces left for October in Kentucky, so I would get in there. I would get in there very quickly. Is Connors under the bed? No, he's under the desk, working his magic as always. So Callum, Dan has a US passport. Only he goes to jail. Well, that's good to know. Actually, on the subject of Daniel and his wine, I am wetting the lips this evening again with Sainsbury's own IPA. Yes, very good. Very, very, very brew dog. It's a shame actually that the streams aren't on a Friday. There's a local brewery called Urban Island. They do amazing beers. Everything's brewed and shipped out of Portsmouth, which is obviously very local to where we are. And we tend to get our order on a Friday, and that's some of the best local craft beer. But anyway, we're not here to talk about beer. We're here to talk about guns. Blackstone 41, can non-KFC members go on the trip? Absolutely. You do need to talk to Kiddle. David will allow people without FACs to go, I believe, but you definitely need to talk to him, and if he doesn't know you, it's quite a personal trip overall. Everyone sort of knows each other and you spend a lot of time together, so if they don't know you, they want to make sure that you're obviously going to get on, you're going to enjoy it, first and foremost, and also to make sure that they're not just giving guns to somebody who might be completely crazy. So there is a little bit of vetting going on. Paul IPSC, thank you very much for joining. Of course, I do tend to see Paul most days, but it's nice to have him in the stream. Can we, Sinner 2004, aka Simon, can we have a chat about the basic rules of a practical match and what to expect on a day? Like a rundown of a match, please. Okay, so I'll do this. I'll cover this topic, and then we'll get on to the paint it pink. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it's fairly interesting, odd / weird what's gone on the last week. So in terms of turning up to a match, it will vary fairly considerably depending on what level of match you're going to. So let's just talk about IPSC. And let's just talk about a level 3. It's middle of the road. It's the middle of all the levels. So basically on a level 3, you just scale it whichever way you want to. So you will normally have sort of a registration period. So you need to be at the range for a certain time to basically say, yes, I'm here. And it's done usually on your first stage of the day. So before a match, a typical level 3 here in the UK is 12 stages. So you'll be allocated a squad. Usually you get to pick your own squad, which means that, yes, you can buddy up with friends, make sure you're in the same groups. And the people that you normally shoot with, of course, I usually try and get with Connors because we're inseparable most of the time. And you would be given your squad number, and then it will show you what order you are shooting that competition. Now, just because the stages go 1 to 12 doesn't mean that everyone starts on 1. You can start on any number. You would arrive with plenty of time. It's always advisable to do that. Turn up to the first stage, which could be any number of the stage, and you will be there for registration to make sure that you are there. If you're not there, they may remove you from the scores just to keep things simple. If you turn up an hour later, they may even turn around and go, no, sorry, you've missed the start of the match. Sometimes they can squeeze in the missed out stages, but again, always better to be there bright and early. And then you tend to just go straight through. With IPSC, there are very rarely breaks, so you will just stage to stage to stage, just knock out the 12 stages and then go home. So it's advisable to take drinks with you, plenty of fluids, and also a packed lunch. Sometimes on site there will be food available, but you can never depend on that, and sometimes some of the food may be a little bit questionable. So you want to go prepared, go there with everything that you are likely to need for a full day of shooting. Now, whilst there isn't necessarily a lunch break or a stop period, you will typically have 15-20 minutes easily of sort of time between each stage, so there is enough time to sort of go walk away, have a little bit of a break, have something to eat, have something to drink before then you really need to like focus on what you're doing. Of course, you don't want to be ducking away all of the time because they need people to reset and patch and score, so on and so forth. But that's typically it. It's not overly complicated as long as you are there on the first stage, or the right stage for the first stage at the beginning of the day. Then you just follow the rest of the squad round. The ROs are incredibly helpful. Yes, they are there to make sure you're safe. Yes, they are the guys that may DQ you if you do something bad, but they're not there to be the villain. They are there to make sure you have a good time, a safe time, and they will guide you. So if you're not entirely sure of the structure of the day, just go and talk to your RO, talk to your fellow squad mates, and they will give the lowdown and the rundown. Once the 12 stages have been shot, and because you've got obviously people on different cycles of the stages, some squads will finish earlier or later than others. Obviously, during COVID at the moment, no one's waiting around at the end of the match. Everyone just gets in their cars and goes home. But during a normal match, under normal circumstances, you would congregate in the car park in a sort of communal area, and you would wait for the scores, and that gives you a chance to have a bit of a natter, to catch up with people that may have been in other squads that you haven't seen all day, but you may know from other matches or other clubs, and you have a bit of a natter, bit of a catch up. Maybe they start bringing out the bacon sarnies or something like that, and then there'll be scores and prize giving. So there's one small step in between that, which is once everyone has finished and all of the scores have been collated, they will release what they call the verifiers. So they usually give you, I believe it's about an hour. So there's an hour usually of waiting around, and it gives everybody who shot that match a chance to be able to go and verify their scores. And it's advisable to make note of your scores from every single stage, because mistakes do happen, and our own might put something in incorrectly. Scores may get jumbled up, mixed up. I have seen it happen. So when I shot the British Masters, I was taking down my scores, and then when I was following Connor's round and that squad, I was actually taking down Connor's scores for him, so that at the end of the day we could look at our scores, verify that they matched up to what the official verifiers were, and everything was fine and dandy. And then obviously once the verifiers have been done and everyone's happy, then they do the prize giving and announce what you're doing. So that's basically a general gist. I don't think there has been a sort of start to finish video of the whole day on the channel, but that's pretty much a good summation. So anyway, Mars action rifles and lever release. So I'm going to pull up a post that was put out on English Shooting. I'm sure many of you have already seen this, and there's been a few people sort of calling bullshit on this and saying that it's not correct, and somebody has been pulling everybody's leg. I honestly don't think that is the case. I don't see the motive of somebody doing this, and I've had a number of people sort of verify that this was a member from their club, and they were able to sort of convince me that it was legitimate. And there's also a sort of a follow-on from this which confirms it further. So if you're not aware of what's going on in the UK at the moment, there are two rifles. One's called the Mars, one's called the lever release rifle, and they were banned. They were banned as of, I think it was the 16th of May 2016, but they only recently started the collection of them and also the compensation for them. There was a campaign that was spearheaded by Mike Lindsay of the Owners' Rights Cooperative to paint them pink. So you normally get, I'll take this off for a second because we want to sort of look at it in detail in a minute. So we have to hand them in, and I would never advocate somebody doing something illegal. I would never advocate people breaking the law or going against the law. At the end of the day, the law is the law, and as law-abiding gun owners, we do need to abide by it. That doesn't mean, though, you have to necessarily like it or agree with it. As long as you are abiding by it, in my mind, you should be able to voice any displeasures about it And obviously there's a lot of people, mainly the owners of these rifles, that are very displeased about it, especially when there has been no evidence to suggest that criminals are interested in them, and no evidence to suggest that they have ever been used in crime. And yet again, sort of the owners of these are stood there with their hands up in the air going, well, why us? Like, why these guns? You know, we haven't done anything. Not even the criminals have done anything. These guns are, you know, highly secured. We have to jump through all these hoops. They are safe. They're not. There's no record of these falling into the wrong hands. But of course, it all comes down to the rate of fire, and that's what's special about these rifles. They're not semi-auto, but they're not exactly like straight pull or manual action. They use bolt hold mechanisms that you depress using other levers, or even the trigger in the case of the Mars, to then release it. So you're able to get a faster rate of fire, but still nothing near semi-auto. Which brings us into, you know, present day and the surrender of these guns, which brings me back to this post, and obviously Mike Lindsay campaigning to paint it pink. And because people were displeased, and what they were also fearful and more displeased about are these guns becoming almost trophy pieces for the police, being able to parade. And we've already seen it happen. We've already seen certain forces doing it, to parade these sinister, scary looking assault rifles, and to say to the public, what a good job that we are doing. We're taking these guns out of people's hands, and we're making the world safer. Again, even though there's been no evidence to suggest these guns pose any more danger than any other firearm, and sort of statistically speaking, less than, say, shotguns or even 2.2 semi-autos. And this member posted this, and this really does scare me. So obviously the police are saying, first off, that they won't get compensation because they've painted it pink. But more importantly, they're saying that they're deeming him to not be fit to have an FAC because they deem it to be mature. Now, not forgetting that this was a peaceful, quiet protest. This wasn't marching down the streets. This wasn't pulling down statues or smashing up buildings. This was simply painting their gun pink to show the police that, yes, I'm abiding by the law in handing it in, but I'm not happy about it. And the last thing I want for this gun that you're taking away from me is to be used for further unwarranted propaganda to the greater British public. And that really scares me. You know, the fact that they're saying straight away that just by painting your gun a funky colour, you are of insufficient maturity. Now, this was followed up further. Let's find it by Mike Lindsay. Again, he's very, very hot on all of this at the moment. My internet is being a bit slow, although the stream looks good, so that's always good. Let's find it. So here we go. And again, if you follow the English Shooting Facebook page, you would have seen this. And it's basically Mike Lindsay following up, and if it ever loads, it's coming. It's good old Facebook. Shall we just go back? It loaded up like this, so I'll just leave it here. So basically, Mike Lindsay had been in contact with the Home Office and basically said, like, stuff it, like, stuff you guys, you're still paying compensation. So the guy is still going to get compensation for his rifle, because again, the color of the rifle doesn't affect the functionality of it. It's still the same gun, and there is nothing to say that this gun wasn't previously painted pink and that he wasn't just doing it in protest. I believe actually this is a picture, if Facebook just stops being Facebook for a second. Oh god, stop it. Stop it, come on. The full gun. I believe this is the actual gun in question, because I think he said he'd painted it gold bits. That's obviously a Mars VZ58, the Mars action rifle. So I think that's the exact one that was being taken down for compensation. So he is going to get his compensation, but something that I haven't yet clarified with Mike is the maturity statement. So whilst he might be getting compensation for this gun, the police may still deem him to be immature in painting a gun pink and handing it in a protest. And the thing is, I think actually the paint it pink, whilst it's a pink colour and some people have put unicorn stickers on it and Hello Kitty stickers on it, I think it's actually quite a sort of a fair and mature way to do it. Again, you're not causing anybody any hassle. You're not being loud and disruptive. You're simply just, making a stand that if somebody wants to use your gun as a trophy piece to parade as propaganda, it's going to be pink. That's all you're doing. It's you're sort of playing the police at their own game when it comes to these images. Again, I would like to stress, under no circumstance should anybody withhold these guns. You don't have that long now to surrender them. Do not think that you can stuff it in a cupboard or something and they won't come and look for it. All of the guns in the UK are serial numbered. They know who have them, although Hampshire seem to sort of allude that they might not, but anyway, they know who to go and knock on the door of. And if you think for 1 minute that having a boating accident in the UK is going to do anything other than land you in prison for 5 years, you're sadly mistaken. So as much as you may dislike it or otherwise, comply with it. We have no choice unless you want to face a prison sentence. In terms of painting it pink, again, you've got this article. It's still your property. What color you want it to be is completely up to you. And with everything that I've just talked about, we're all adults at the end of the day. If you've got one of these guns, you've got an FAC, firearm certificate, shotgun certificate, you're going to be able to make the decision on your own. Personally, I don't think there's a huge risk, but it would be very interesting to see if this whole, insufficient maturity comes to fruition and causes any further aggro for this particular shooter or any other shooter. Not forgetting that I know at least half a dozen people that have already surrendered their guns painted pink. So does that mean they're going to go around taking everybody's FACs away because of it? And then does that ask a question of, well, is that discrimination? And then again, how do they prove that this gun wasn't already painted pink? I've seen plenty of Cerakoted pink guns in my time. I've seen plenty of sort of garish, loud colours on the range. People like to add their own personality to them. One thing I did hear why this particular police force was a little bit hurt or a little bit annoyed about it is that they want to use these guns for training. First of all, I don't really see why the colour of the gun makes any difference. I can only surmise that maybe it makes the firearms officers look a little bit too fabulous, or maybe the colour doesn't match their eyes. I don't know. But there we go, guys. You can make your own minds up on it. I've completely ignored the chat, so we'll see. We've got Colin. For some reason it's held your comment, but I'll show that for you. Mine collected today. FEO very apologetic and no issues and understands the political protest of painting it pink. Most FEOs okay, occasionally Dick Jobsworth, but definitely not the majority. So that's good to hear. Colin, I'd be interested to know if you did paint yours pink, and whether you got a little bit of a chuckle out of your FEOs. John Thompson, pink guns matter. Oh, absolutely they do. Pink and black, Muddy Gale camo. Well, the 1522, there is a variety of the 1522 that comes in that configuration, the pink and black. Again, pink guns aren't actually that rare. There's a number of people that like that colour. Don't know, it gives me something to think about, doesn't it? Richard Weston, Southern Gun Company 9mm lever release look interesting, but I'm sure they'd be on the offensive weapons bill 3.0. Yes, I completely agree. So if any of you don't know what that is, actually I'll try and bring one up for you, because I don't think I've talked about it on the channel yet. These I really do have to give it up for Southern Gun Company. They were the ones that created the lever release, which again is one of the ones being banned, and it's a very sort of clever mechanism and working well within the law as it was at the time, but they obviously they've banned them, and they've just gone full brainiac again. Like, okay, what is still legal? What can we still how can we still do this? So I've got a bit of a video here from Gunmart TV. Of course, anyone that's been following the whole Mars thing will probably know the significance of Gunmart TV doing reviews on these sorts of guns. It didn't particularly help us out last time. So this is it. This is the new. This is meant to be the replacement, and obviously people are getting compensation, and we've discussed this, I believe, on the stream before. I think it's fairly fair, the compensation overall. So there's going to be a lot of people out there with a wodge of cash they weren't expecting. Okay, they're going to be one rifle down, but they've got a wodge of cash that they weren't expecting, and the Southern Gun Company have come up with this rifle to maybe tempt you away from the compensation money. So you can probably see it already that it's a lever action, not lever release, but a lever action AR-15 in 9mm. Again, the most popular caliber for the lever releases was the 9mm, so people were going to have potentially an open slot for it. And let's just fast forward. He's going to get to it in a minute. So you get the general premise. The underlever is actually in contour with the grip. It's a manual action rifle. We're allowed underlevers as it is, and as the law stands, even with the offensive weapons bill, that gun is still going to be completely legal. But as Richard is saying, it's only a matter of time before the Home Office or neighbours sees that, and it raises their attention potentially. So we're going to have to wait and see. What would be an absolute shame and travesty is that they end up banning all underlevers, which again, I don't believe any underlever that I know of has been used in crime. They're not exactly the criminals' go-to, as it were. I can't see a huge issue with having underlevers even in the AR-15 platform, although that seems to be an anti-gun buzzword. So let's have a look. Have you ever considered hiring an editor to feed you images? What you mean, like feed them? I would love an editor. Absolutely love an editor. I'm sure the videos would get a lot better as well, but paying someone takes money, doesn't it? And again, English shooting is a hobby. It's still, my main interest is of course magload, and I can't divert sort of funds and attention for something that is in essence a hobby. It's something I do for the fun of it, something I do to just help grow the sport as much as I can, sort of do my part as it were. Probably was used in crime in 1890, yeah, most likely. So that's about it. If any of you have any more questions about the whole Paint It Pink, about the Mars and lever release, we can come back onto it later on in the stream. But let's get on to something else. And thank you, Ezra, for reminding me. I would like everyone to just take a moment. Bow your head, close your eyes, put your hands together, pray to whatever God you pray to. You got to pray for Pappy. And if you don't know about Pappy, I'm going to have to get the Discord link. Obviously, there is a UK shooting Discord now. I've been talking about it for over the past few weeks. It's absolutely hilarious. And last night, things reached a whole nother level of ridiculousness. Now, whilst people may think that I'm going to just talk about this, just have a little bit of a rib of Pappy from the Discord, which I absolutely am, it's also actually quite a serious point in terms of being a firearms owner in the UK, and something that you should definitely consider. So I'm going to put this in the chat for you all. That's the Discord link. Follow that link, go in there and go and have a look. I would highly recommend going into the shotgun section and having a bit of a scroll. So Pappy came, I think I know who Pappy is in real life, but they announced that they were moving in moving out of home, moving out from their parents and getting their first place. And that he was moving in with this girl, and it was like a soap opera last night. I went to bed probably a good 2 hours after I should have, but it was just absolutely hilarious. He's moving in with this girl. He's only met her a few times, I believe, and only met her 3 months ago. Her mother is homeless. She's technically currently homeless, And basically the general suspicion is that the mother is most definitely moving in with them too, and Pappy's going to be stuck with this girl that he barely knows, and her mother. And basically Pappy realised halfway through this conversation last night that maybe he hadn't made the best decision. So I'm sorry, Pappy, at your expense. We did have quite a heavy laugh last night, but it does open up actually a very serious topic when it comes to firearms ownership in the UK. Now, there's many different circumstances where you'd be either living in multiple locations, or you wouldn't necessarily have a permanent location, but it's permanent enough that you may want your guns to be stored there. Now, to caveat, Pappy fully explained that the guns weren't coming with him; they were staying back at his parents, and therefore, completely okay in that regard. But in the instance where Pappy was properly moving out, and Pappy's not his real name; it's his username, or if it is his real name, bravo. Moving into rented accommodation, or moving in to a flat share or student accommodation with firearms. So it's not impossible, and there's a lot of people out there that are in rented accommodation, but they don't go forward with getting their firearm certificate because they think, I'm in rented accommodation, it's not going to work. It absolutely will. They're still going to look at the same things that they're going to look at if it was your own place, but there are going to be potentially other levels of complexities, especially if you're living with somebody else. And I can't imagine an FEO in Pappy's situation and circumstance. I can't imagine an FEO ever being happy with guns being kept in a premises with other people having access to that premises, especially those people not being that well known to you. Now, at the end of the day, a safe is a safe. It keeps anybody out, or is intended to keep anybody out that doesn't have the keys. And in the instance of living with good friends and family, I think it's taken that if the police are trusting you with an FAC, they're trusting you to live with people that you know well, that are also of similar moral standings. But moving into a share where there's going to be people that have really easy access to that safe, and again, we've talked about it in other streams, a safe isn't meant to be an absolute stop. It's meant to be a deterrent. It's meant to be a delay. Most safes with enough encouragement will open up without the keys. So what the big danger is there is people that live in this house with you. If you disappear for a day, well, somebody's going to be in that house. They have all day. If someone lives in the house with you that you don't know very well, and they know you've got guns in your room, it's not very hard for them to then go in and start having a go at the safe, and with enough time and persuasion, the safe may open up, and then somebody's in possession of guns that they shouldn't be. But the overall takeaway from that is, for most, I would say, normal rental situations where you're moving in there with a partner, where you're sharing with long-term friends, it's going to be okay. The police are going to ask who's going to be there, who has access to it. There may be a couple of other hoops. They may want a lock on your room to again present another barrier to anybody else. But renting isn't necessarily a complete no-no. And on renting, of course, student accommodation. Now, what you'll probably find with student accommodation is it's going to be the university or the owners of that accommodation that are going to stop you. So I remember whilst I was at Imperial, the official Imperial Halls of Residence, it specifically said in there, no firearms. No firearms were allowed to be kept in the room. Now, I read that and then didn't go any further. I don't know whether if I had said to them, look, I'm going to install a safe, it's all going to be alarmed, it's all going to be good, can I do it? Maybe they would have considered it, but I think ultimately it would have been no. So it's not the police. I'm sure if you went to the police and said, I live in student accommodation, but I have my own room, it's got all the same security measures, and I've got permission from the university and the owners of the halls of residence, again, the police shouldn't necessarily have an issue. In terms of alternatives, if you are in one of the unfortunate circumstances where your rental situation wouldn't be suitable for you to have guns, then you can always store them at a firearms dealer, or you can even store them at the club. I know a few people that have FACs, firearm certificates, where it specifically says that they are not allowed to store them at home, or that they have to be stored at their club or at an RFD. Yes, it's a bit of a pain, but you just you have to pop to your gun shop, pick up the gun, go shooting, make sure you're back before they close, give them back the gun, and go about your business. Also, again, a prime example, when I was in halls of residence, the university club had its own lockers, had its own cabinets at the range, so I left it at the range. At the end of the day, studying in London, there wasn't many other places I could go shooting other than the range, again, without ending up in prison. So I'm not going to need the gun in between. The only place I'm going to use that gun in London is going to be the range. So it's really no biggie to then keep it at the range. Occasionally I'd have to go there, pick it up to be able to take it home, do some shooting over the weekend, go back up there, go straight to the range and lock it in. Again, a little bit of inconvenience, but I was still able to have my own personal guns in London, and still make use of them pretty much as and when I wanted. So yeah, that's pray for Pappy, because he's moving in with somebody he doesn't know, and is most likely going to have a third occupant very shortly. Unwelcome. There we go. Yeah, go and check out the Discord. So Sinner 2004. Wow, after briefly reading the Discord, I'm definitely praying for Pappy. It just got better and better and better. Like, when you thought the story had reached its peak, it just elevated another level. And it was like literally watching a slow motion car wreck bursting into flames. Anyway, Steve, hello. Finally, after years on the fence, I'm going to go for the shotgun certificate. Awesome. Great to hear that. Always like to hear new people getting into the sport. Been to a few shoots and the local clay club. That's awesome. Again, there's less criteria with a shotgun certificate, as we all know. So shouldn't be a problem. The fact that you are, you're engaged, you've been there, you've had some experience, will put you in good stead with your firearms officer. Theoretically, with a shotgun certificate, you don't need to provide any reason. You can literally say, I just want a shotgun, and that should be good enough. But it's always good to give extra convincing to the FEO. So if you say to them, look, I've been clay pigeon shooting a half a dozen times, I'm really enjoying it, but obviously it's costing me a lot of money to rent the guns. I have to be there, I have to be supervised because I don't have a certificate, and it's just getting a real pain in the arse now, and I just want to get on and enjoy it at my own leisure. That is going to be more than enough reason, or good reason, to be able to get a shotgun certificate. Chris Lewis, any news on your FAC? No, I am still waiting. It's still in the hands of the gods, as it were. I knew it was going to be a waiting game, but we'll just have to see what happens going forward. But any further updates, I will of course let you know. Oh Lord, pray for Pappy. Just read it. Yes. Oh, it's worth it. Callum, can you get my owl ready tomorrow? No, Daniel. That's not going to be possible. And I've already chatted to you why that's not possible. But I'm sure we can work something out. Blackstone 45. I was going to bed at midnight. midnight. I ended up sleeping at 2 a.m. instead. Yeah. Well, pretty much. I think I'd got into bed about 12:30 or 12 o'clock, and then just saw that on Discord and ended up watching it out to the end, pretty much. How long do we think before there's a fourth occupant? Yes, I would concur, John. An owl to go with your chickens. Yes, if you don't know, Daniel Smerald is into his chickens. Not like that. But yeah, we'll get that sorted out for you, Daniel. Anything else? Any other topics, any questions, or shall we move on to next onto the agenda? Which is talking. I like to discuss the videos that are released each week. Obviously, this week was the 1522. The 1522 is a bit of an odd subject matter, because I use it all the time for reviews, if I'm doing optics, if I'm testing accessories, or I'm doing, you know, say a competition or something that involves a rifle, I will pick up the 1522, and it's like the prop gun. And I tend to think that I talk about it too much. I maybe talk about it a bit too much on the stream, because in my opinion it is the best all-round 2.2 semi-automatic AR. You can fight me for it, but it's I just don't. I think that there's a lot more videos out on the channel about it than there actually are. And I was having a scroll through, and it was like, I haven't actually made a video specifically on the 1522 for a while. So after adding it up all the, you know, again, it's a rough ad. I don't have it down to the round, but I theorize that I've put about 20, well, at least 20, but probably upwards of 30,000 rounds through the 1522, the one that I bought nearly, I think I said in the video, nearly 10 years. I think it's over 8 years in total. So 30,000 rounds and 8 years of shooting that gun. Well, I know it fairly well, and I thought it was time to make a bit of a an update review on it. So if you want to see a long-term review, and you also want to see the current state of that 1522, and with all of the upgrades, go and check out that video. Of course, all of the upgrades are mag load, because Connors genuinely does design the best stuff that you can buy, certainly for that gun. And actually, on that note, I've got to get my little sponsored segment in here. Of course, I don't know if Connors is watching, but we have a few additions. Something that was launched recently, I think in the last week or two, is this. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it's focusing. So this was actually a request, and we say this all the time. If there's a sort of an addition or maybe a modification to any of the Magload products, or there's a completely new product that you want and would buy but you can't find it, drop Magload a message. Like, Connors likes a challenge. He likes to create new things. So if you've got a new idea, fresh idea, and this is an exact example of it, and it's just a dual sort of belt mounted shell holder. You can use it for initial loads or as an ultimate backup. So, you know, putting one onto one in the chamber, one into the shot saver, and then quad loading the rest from, say, your Nexus. But even more than that, Connor's made it as part of the Click. So we've talked about Click system before. It's Magload's proprietary belt system. You get this little QRB that attaches onto the belt, and then the Click mechanism just slides right in, gives you a little click, and then it's good to go. But of course, you can interchange it for other things. So there's different size plates which you can mount anything to. This is the largest plate, same hole diameter or same hole spacing as a tech lock, and again, you can just slide that in with a holster on, or, you know, a caddy on there, a loader, and you're good to go. But we have a bit of a joke at Magload, which is the #1 product that people seem to buy are breech flags. Every single time, like, they're the #1 seller, because everyone sort of needs one, especially if you're doing practical shooting. So Connor's thought, what would be a good idea, turning or creating a Click breech flag holder. So that's will be familiar to most of you. That's the 12 gauge breech flag from Magload, and it just tucks away there. And if you don't want it anymore, of course, it's Click, so it comes off. You can take that away and then go and put, I don't know, maybe a 2.2 or 2.23 breech flag holder on it if you want. So yes, we expect this now to become our biggest seller, but it's actually more off the back of this, which again is another Click product that will be coming out very, very soon. So the breech flag holders will be most likely available within the next few days or weeks, so keep an eye out on magload.co.uk. But this is a little bit special. This is a belt buckle with the Click system. And this is actually going to come with something else, which we will wait for a little bit longer to talk about, because I really want Connors to ultimately announce it. But this it's a buckle for a 2-part belt, and it's to stop it. The reason you have these is so that it doesn't come apart and holds it in place. And again, you've got click, so you can use it as a breech flag holder, or you can put something else on there that you're going to use in a match. And on the note of breech flags, Connors hasn't stopped there, so you may be familiar with the 12 gauge breech flag holder. Now, of course, Connors shoots standard manual, which is pump action, and I shoot standard division, so this suits us down to the ground because neither of us have Picatinny rails on our guns, and obviously we then put that in a breech flag holder and get on with the stage, take it out, put it in the gun, and obviously put the gun on the rack. But then Connor's had this realization that, of course, there's this really strange division called open division, where a lot of the shotguns used in open division have a Picatinny rail on there. Introducing the rail-mounted breech flag from Magload. So it's a 12 gauge breech flag, shows your guns clear, but it has the same Picatinny rail mount as the 223 and also the 22, so you can clip it there on your Picatinny rail, and when you finish shooting, you know where it is. You haven't lost it. And I'm getting calls. Yep. So my fiance forgot that I was streaming, and has been calling me constantly, and I've been trying my best to ignore her. She's probably going to join in. She's probably watching right now, but she's now realised I'm on the stream. She probably thought I was upside down in a ditch somewhere. We do also have another click product. I don't know, like I've probably shown you guys far too much, but Connors has given me all of this stuff and I'm showing you. This is the flattest click attachment, and of course you're going to see or say, well, how does that attach to a belt? Now, yes, you've got those holes. What those holes now allow you to do is mount it anywhere. And what the premise is, now this isn't, again, anyone familiar with practical shooting, you'll know what a stage saver is, but you don't necessarily need it on there all the time. Again, with like option 3 loaders, you don't want anything on the gun that doesn't need to be used. Well, basically, if you're not going to use what's on the gun, you're better off taking it off so you don't snag it on something that you don't, it gets in the way or adds additional weight. So this flat piece, and again, I don't know when this will actually come out because this is the first prototypes have only just come in. This is intended to screw into the exact same holes that your stage saver or shot saver would fit, and then would allow you to have a detachable shot saver if you wanted, along with other accessories. So completely flat. There might be a slight curve in there so that it fits the contour of the gun, but that's intended. I'm actually really keen to go and try it out, if I'm going to be honest. And it's just going to mount their little plate on the side. But again, you can also screw it to whatever you want. You could use it even as like a key hanger. Screw it to the wall, put your keys on it. Anyway, Magload, magload.co.uk. Go and check it out. Oh yes, Holly has joined the stream. Doesn't answer phone. He's dead. No, she's used to it. I was hoping that, well, I was thinking either you had completely forgotten, which was the case, or it was actually something quite serious. But then I would assume you would phone the house phone or message me. You didn't even Facebook message me. I don't think. I didn't. Oh no, you did. You did Facebook message me, but I was streaming, so I've got a valid defence. Pray for Callum. Anyway, moving on. Thanks Holly for joining and realising I was streaming. So somebody said, best way to get into shooting in Scotland. It depends what you want to go and shoot. I know that the Bisley Clay Ground up there, or Bisley Shooting Ground now, it's not Bisley as in the NRA. It's Bisley as in the people that the NRA were trying to fuck over. Moving on. They have 2 sites. They have one down at Bisley, obviously a lot smaller now, and one up in Scotland. Now, I actually know the gunroom manager, Ed. He does join the streams occasionally, so we we've met up and chatted loads of times before. That it is a stunning playground up there. So if you want to get into clay shooting in Scotland, then highly recommend the Bisley Shooting Ground up there. In terms of practical shooting, there are a number of places. There's Recoil Scotland. I forget where they are exactly within Scotland, but they are focused on practical shooting. They're a small but rapidly growing club. Again, there's not a huge amount of practical places in Scotland, certainly right in the thick of it. So they're doing a great job sort of bringing practical shooting to Scotland. There's also the Galloway, I think it's the Galloway Arms, Small Arms Club. There's Carlisle and Galloway, and I think that in some way they are partnered or they're merged or they're on the same site, but it's where the level 3 practical shotgun match for the UK PSA is held. So again, if you want to get into practical shooting, I think the Galloway Small Arms Club, get in contact with them. The actual previous chairman of the UK PSA is part of that club, so a very good club to get in with if you want to get into practical. And I believe they have other ranges as well. They do other rifle disciplines. That's why they call the Small Arms Club. So again, go and check those out. Excuse me. I also always recommend just having a look on the NRA website or the NSRA website or the CPSA website or the UK PSA website. All of those are national governing bodies for their disciplines, let's say, and although the NRA does like to think that it sort of represents everyone, sort of like BASC really, and they will have a list of all of the clubs that are available and that are affiliated with that organisation. So the national governing bodies are always a good place to start. If you can't find anything on their website, drop them a message. They should be able to point you in the right direction. The Discord, again, we've had a couple of links posted. So Oliver is here, so another link may appear. Go and check out the Discord. They actually have a shooting map, and anyone that wants their club represented on the Discord, join the Discord and put a note on the map. So, make sure that your club is known so that people can find it. I think it's going to be an incredible resource. I've wanted to do a shooting map for a very long time, and it's just a lot of time, a lot of effort. I don't know how to build websites, and it's just, keeping it, starting it is one thing, maintaining it and keeping all the information up to date. But through something like a Discord where you've got many different people sort of adding their areas, gunshots and clubs in, it could be a very powerful resource. So go and check that out. Last stream before your funeral. Oh, I'm guessing you're talking about my girlfriend. You're not talking to her, are you? Hands off. He's been everyone's just saying how I'm dead. This does not bode well. Any recommendations for clubs/ranges down in Winchester? Well, as it should happen, I'm actually pretty close to Winchester, so I do know a few. I would personally just get in contact with Kentucky Firearms Club. If you're looking for the Winchester area, Bisley isn't that far from Winchester. I think it's only about 20 minutes, half an hour. Kentucky Firearms Club shoots a lot at Bisley, and I have heard rumours that they might be looking for their own range. So I might have a slight idea where it is. Winchester won't be too far away from it. So go and get in contact with Kentucky Firearms Club. A lot of the membership there live in the sort of Andover/Basingstoke areas. So they are going to be putting on shoots close enough to them, which should be close enough to you. If you fancy a little bit more of a drive, sort of Portsmouth area, there's Havant Rifle and Pistol Club. That's quite a big one. So definitely check out Havant, but that's obviously you've got to come down the M3 across the M27 into pretty much Portsmouth. There is also, I think it's the Hills. There's a club in Hilsey, which is actually on the Portsmouth Island. So yeah, loads of clubs in the area. But honestly, if you're looking at the Winchester area, Bisley, 100%. Join a club like KFC, and then that gives you access to Bisley. If you are a full member of a NRA affiliated club, you're pretty much automatically guaranteed to get NRA membership. And once you're a full member of the NRA, you can book a lane at Bisley anytime you want, and they have everything there. Ultimately, it is one of the best range facilities in the UK. It's certainly the biggest, but you can go and do full bore rifle from 100 to 1200 yards. You can go and do gallery rifle at 25 meters or 50 meters. You can pop over to the NSRA, the Lord Roberts Centre. Again, that's a separate club in its own right that you can go and join and shoot at. I used to shoot a lot there and do some 2-2, 25, 50 meter shooting there. There's 2 clay grounds now around around Bisley. What else can you do? You can do running boar down at Bisley. There's butt zero, which is pretty much anything. You can get shotguns out with birdshot and slug. You can get some 223 rifles. You can get some 22s, long barrel pistols. Literally anything that you need to pull a trigger to use, you can shoot at Bisley. So again, really not that far. A lot of people, and I know the American viewers and subscribers are gonna chuckle at this, but like British shooters seem to really be averse to travel. If you're gonna be like, yes, if you have a local club and you just want to go there, you just want to drive 10 minutes, maybe that's not too much to ask. But shooting generally takes a lot of travel. Even when I first joined my university club, it took us an hour and a half to get to the clay ground outside of London. It would take me half an hour. I was living in South Kensington at the time, and the range was over in London Bridge. It was still half an hour to walk to a tube station, get the tube over there, and then get to the range. You're going to have to put some time into it. Ranges are, in essence, few and far between because space is at a premium these days, and ranges take up a reasonable amount of space. So you can't be shy to travel. And like I would say, if you're not willing to travel from Winchester to Bisley, then you're not going to have a very good time within the sport. But there are loads of local clubs. You will find something sort of within half an hour. And again, that's why it's sort of different. I remember going out to America for a work trip, and I was talking to the guys, and he said something about his commute, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like you have a long commute." And he said, No, it's not bad at all. It's 2 hours. And I was like, "Oh, an hour each way." And he said, "No." He said, "I have a 2-hour drive in, and I have a 2-hour drive out every single day." And I was like, "But you're saying that's not bad?" He said, "I know people that commute 4 hours in and 4 hours out for their daily jobs." It's like, are you actually shitting me? In America, a small journey is like an hour. Obviously a much bigger country, but a small journey is like an hour. 2 hours is like, yeah, okay, right, just going to go for a little drive. In the UK, someone goes, you've got to drive half an hour for a range. It's like, oh no, you're going to be out all day. Anyway, it's just a funny comparison there between the nations between the pond. Yes, I'm not going to read that out just in case YouTube is monitoring my words. Of course they are. Show David Kiddle fucking miles away. What's fucking miles away? Winchester has fruit. Oh, that's what's fucking. Yeah. No, Daniel. Winchester does not have Froome. Froome is nowhere near Winchester. Yeah, penis. Yeah, a lot of people correcting down on that one. Thought I'd just chip in there. Doggo, that's a really interesting question. Actually, that might even be a video. Do you prefer British or American gun laws? Ooh, that's interesting. And Dave has also asked the same thing. Do I prefer? Pardon me. That's a really interesting question. I think my general line on it, I've taught. I don't know. That is a really tricky one, because you all know I am an advocate and a supporter of our licensing system. I think just like a car, somebody needs to be able to demonstrate that they are at least at a minimum proficiency with a firearm in order to have sort of free use of it. And I'm not in any way, shape or form advocating licenses or certification or licenses out in the States. I think a mandatory test to determine minimum skill levels, I think would be potentially beneficial without necessarily impeding the Second Amendment. I know there's going to be a lot of people that really disagree with that. There's, any block is an infringement. I understand that. Again, it's very, very different the way things are in the UK. The thing is, like, ultimately it just comes down to, a gun is a tool, and are you comfortable with people having free reign of that tool, or would you rather live in a place where it was vetted? I think ultimately, of course, as somebody who is pro-gun, as somebody who loves shooting and certainly loves America, if I had a big button, to switch laws overnight, I'd probably hit it. I'm not saying to basically impose the gun laws on America that we have. I really wouldn't want to impose that on anyone. There are elements of our laws that I absolutely love. There are elements of the US laws that I absolutely love. As a firm believer of, people should be able to, have their freedom of speech, their freedom to do their own thing. I think combined with that, with the US laws, I would probably favour towards the US laws, but I don't think either country. Either country are far from being perfect. I think between the US and between the UK laws, there is a very, very happy medium, and I think ultimately, sort of expanding on this question, what would I like to see changed in the UK? It's the suggestion that loads of people always say, which is, why do we have slots? Why am I limited to the amount of guns or ammo that I can have? If you're going to give me 1,000 rounds and 10 guns, what's the difference of having 10,000 rounds and 100 guns? I've only got 2 hands, I've only got 2 arms, I can only carry so much stuff. So I would like to see a more like sort of general license, and basically, you go to your doctor to show, to basically verify you have no history of mental health illnesses. That's something that I do disagree with in terms of the state system, the US system, is that it's only once you've been diagnosed that you get flagged, right? There's nothing, if you're, paranoid schizophrenic, but you've never been diagnosed, never been to a doctor, and you go and buy a gun, technically you're because you are, schizophrenic, because you have a mental health illness, you're not technically allowed that. As far as I'm aware, you're technically not allowed it, but you haven't been diagnosed, so no one knows. So it's a bit of one of these grey areas. I would like to see at least some, having to go to your doctor just to be signed off healthy. Now, of course, that we're seeing the pitfalls of that in the UK, because we're getting a number of GPs that are anti-gun and they are objecting to it. Well, I'm sorry, you signed up to a doctor to be fair and impartial and provide the same level of service to everyone. Stop imposing your political opinions on me. Do your fucking job. Anyway, it will be exploited. You will get medical practitioners out in the States that will, in some will abuse it, and actually I'd say abuse it in both ways. I mean, look at the medical marijuana cards. They were doctors where you knew that you went and paid your $50, you were walking out there with an MD's advice or prescription for medical weed, and I'm sure there would be a whole system of qualified doctors signing off people who are pro-gun, signing off people to go and get their guns. So it would be exploited in both ways. But I would like to see just at least the attempt to try and filter out people that may have mental health illnesses, at least the attempt to ensure that somebody has at least a minimum understanding of firearms before they get one. And again, that's why I think something in between the US and the UK for me would be the perfect set of gun laws. GZERP, in all 50 states, background checks is required. Again,
background checks are only as good as what's on the checks. If you've never been diagnosed as having a mental health issue, it's not going to be on that background check. So, you know, obviously, you know, if you've never been a criminal, you've never been convicted, but it's the mental health issues, and not forgetting that, you know, it's sort of funny that suicides are used a lot in a defense of the gun deaths out in the US, and yeah, they do make up a huge proportion of the overall deaths. But then doesn't that necessarily... Yes, they can go and find a train, they can go and find a bridge, whatever, they can find whatever way to go and kill themselves. But in terms of as a gun owner, at least that wouldn't be a statistic on gun owners, you know, and maybe just having something that, you know, doesn't prohibit or doesn't infringe on the Second Amendment, but would be successful in some way to identify mental health issues before somebody goes and buys a gun, I would be all for. Again, why I'm a big supporter of the way it is here. I mean, the questionnaire now for the GP forms, again, there's a whole video going through the process of GP forms, the GP form you have to fill in, because I've recently had to fill it in myself. It is predominantly, it's 99% about mental health, about anxiety, about suicidal thoughts, you know, about depression, about, you know, any sort of mental illness. And the doctor, you know, before it used to be just like a general question, which is like, you know, do you feel this person's fit? Yes, I do. Now it drills into the finite details of mental health. Is there any sign of this in their record? And they have to go and individually search for potentially any single sign of any of these points. That's why it's costing more and more, and why it's taking longer and longer, because the police are requesting more and more work of our doctors to be able to sign somebody off for a firearm certificate. Again, it's a little bit of a pain in the arse, but ultimately it's things like that does stop the wrong people from getting guns. And I know the definition of the wrong person getting guns is you know, is certainly one for a fierce debate, but let's just leave it at that. Philip, what are the costs of the doctors to fill out your paperwork in your area? Mine are £50 to £500. So again, it was all covered in this video. I think the fee for me ended up being around £60, which I was like, okay, it's not, I'd rather not have to pay it, but it's only 60 quid at the end of the day. That's less than 1,000 rounds of 2.2. I think I can stomach that to be able to get the license. Some people have been quoted £500, but those are going to be the anti-gun GPs. Again, stop pushing your political agenda on me. Get on and do your job. But yeah, if you've got a GP that is just absolutely trying to rinse you for whatever reason, I've heard things of £200 for these GP forms to be filled out to be fairly common. You can go and use somewhere called MediCert, or I think it's called Shotgun Medical. Two different companies, and they specialise in doing your GP forms. I think they're about £50, around the £50 mark for each of them. Both they offer different levels of service, and it's, you know, go and check them out, Shotgun Medicals or MediCert. If you need the links, if you want further more information, go and check out the GP forms video on the channel. Something about this, what happens? Yeah, so OTD, we were talking about this the other day. It is an unfortunate consequence of the system that we have. So what OTD is referring to is gun owners not actually going and getting the potential help they need in fear that their guns are taken away from you. Now, you know, I've been unfortunately aware of a number of people that have been through this exact sort of this exact circumstance where, you know, you know yourself that you might be depressed. You know yourself that you're too anxious, or your anxiety is getting uncontrollable, but you end up going, well, I'm a firearms owner in the UK. If I go to the doctor and say I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling depressed, that's it. The guns, they're gone. They're going to come in, which snowballs. You know, you're already in a bad place. You might not even be contemplating anything in terms of suicidal thoughts. But as soon as you mention anxiety and depression to the doctor, they do have a duty to then inform the police if they feel that it has reached the point where you can no longer safely hold firearms. And again, it as far as I'm aware, it is the GP's call. It's up to them to make the judgment. There are plenty of people that have firearms or shotgun certificates that are on antidepressants. Depression and mental health is a very varied beast, and GPs that are worth their salt are able to identify when somebody is just having a bit of a down period in their life, or somebody that is potentially suicidal. However, if the police become aware of it, they may push to have your licenses taken away, this, that and the other. There was a shooter that I know of that he was stressed out with work. He went and got signed off for a week from work just to have just a week to sort of calm himself down. He was fine. He wasn't going to hurt himself. He wasn't feeling depressed. He was just feeling stressed out because of the nature of his job. And the police came and took away his guns. So there is this unfortunate cavity that people can fall in, where they're scared to go and get the help they need, so they therefore get worse. Or if they do go and get the help they need and they have their guns taken away, and it removes a pastime, it removes a segment of something from their life even further, it's going to make them spiral. So it is a delicate subject. It is, I don't envy any GP. I certainly don't envy the FEOs and the police for sort of making those decisions, but they are always going to be safer than sorry. They're always going to make sure that the public safety is first and foremost. So unfortunately there's going to be people that are going to have their guns away that maybe, whilst they have some depression, some anxiety, for safety, it's taken away and may potentially make things worse. But yeah, there are various anonymous sort of mental health hotlines, and I would say to anyone, look, regardless of guns or regardless of whatever, of your job or whatever, if you feel you need help, go and get help. Like, just because you've been depressed or just because you've suffered from anxiety doesn't blacklist you from ever owning guns in the UK again. There might be a period of time that you can't. Okay, yeah, it's shit, but it's better for you to go and get the help that you need to get better, and then to sort everything out afterwards. So don't compound the issue. Go and seek help when you need it, or at the very least go on to an online an online anonymous sort of therapy or therapist, and just talk to someone, reach out to someone. My advice to anybody applying for their FAC with a history of mental health: speak to your GP and speak to your FEO. Absolutely, Captain Crack. 100%, that's what I say to people. Again, I get a lot of questions from people that have had depression in the past or anxiety, and they're like, what do I do? Who do I speak to? Whatever. At the end of the day, it's predominantly, it should only be your GP's call. Go and talk to your GP first, see what they say. They may have absolutely no issue with it at all. They might go, look, you've never shown suicidal tendencies. You've never, shown to me that you don't know the difference between wrong and right. You're either just, in a bit of a down place, or you're anxious because of stress or whatever. I don't think you're going to be dangerous with a gun. And if your GP says that, if your GP is happy to support your application, the police aren't doctors. I say this all the time. The police aren't doctors. They are not qualified in making a medical assessment or medical decision about you. Only your GP can do that. So with your GP on side, with your GP, advocating you for your licenses, you should be okay. So first and foremost, speak to your GP. DJ Muzz, are there any shooting clubs in London? Yes, there are. I used to shoot at one of them. There's actually a range underneath London Bridge. It's quite well hidden for obvious reasons, but there are a number of clubs there. It's more, Oh, can't spell. It's the beer. Marlebone Rifle Pistol Club. Sorry guys, just talk amongst yourself for a second. This is the one. Although saying that, they used to be really secretive about where the location is. They got a bloody picture of it on the website now. I was never allowed to film outside of it. So here we go. Actually, I'm going to try... No, I'm not going to do that. They're going to really hate me for doing that. Here we go. So go and follow that link. That's one of the clubs in London. Based on that range, there are a number of different clubs. So the Imperial College Rifle and Pistol Club, which was what I was a part of, would shoot there every Wednesday evening. There's the Marylebone Rifle and Pistol Club. There's the Stock Exchange Rifle Club, and I think there's like a good 3 or 4 other clubs that share that range. It's a fantastic facility. You've got 6 lanes of I think it's 25 yards or 25 meters. There's also I think 2 separate air pistol bays as well, a full armory, storage. There's a members room where there's like an honesty tuck shop, so it's full of drinks and sweets and all sorts. You can help yourself and pay yourself. It's just a general nice place to sort of go and hang out, and it's actually over the Thames, so you can actually open up a hatch in the range and look down at the Thames, which is pretty awesome. Just don't jump in. Does having autism go against getting your FAC? It's not going to help, if I'm going to be brutally honest. It's not going to help you with your application, but it's again not an absolute blanket no. There are people with autism that have managed to get firearm certificate. It depends, just like with mental health issues, it depends on your own circumstances. Mental health issues, again, no case is the same. It will depend on a number of factors and the severity of it. But again, talk to your GP. If you do suffer with autism, talk to your GP, and again, they are going to be the best ones to make the judgment. How long do I have to live in the UK to be able to apply for an FAC? I'm a full English citizen, but currently live in Denmark. So I believe the only if you're a British citizen, technically like you're in. The only time period that I'm aware of for, say, non-nationals applying for certificates is having known somebody for 2 years or more. So you need your references, or you need a singular reference for a shotgun certificate, or you need 2 references for a firearm certificate. If you've just moved to the UK, if you haven't known somebody for 2 years, then you're not going to have that referee to be able to vouch for you, and you need it for your application. So I think it's 2 years. But if you're already a British citizen, obviously if you're not a resident, that sort of complicates matters. But if you come back and you live you're back in the UK and you're a resident in the UK, and you've got old friends, well, it can't be family, but old friends, old colleagues that are willing to vouch for you, that have known you for longer than 2 years, then you should be, as far as I'm aware, pretty safe to sort of go ahead and apply. Stock Exchange, GME. Yeah. Gary, have you bought GME? No, I haven't, because it is going to crash at any moment, and I'm not going to be one of the idiots jumping on it right now just before it crashes. Obviously, a couple of days ago, when it started, of course, I would have loved to have chucked 100 quid into it, because that would have been some serious returns. But yeah, hindsight's 2020, right? We don't talk about 2020. Bad year. Was a member at Marylebone, you see, at London Bridge. Great club. I think it's now got its 7.3. Yeah, I've heard other people say that it's a 7.3 club now, which is awesome. Any recent information on FAC self-indexing Air guns, no, sorry Henry, not aware of that. DJ Muzz, can I have a section 7.3 in that club? Well, what Colin is saying, yes, if they're 7.3. It's gonna, don't think you can just, it's something you can go and jump straight into. It's gonna take you a little bit of time to woo the right people, let's just say. Stu, can I apply for any caliber if it's only for use at the range? Technically, yes. It has to be for a discipline that uses that caliber for, say, for gallery. Doing gallery shooting opens you up to a load of calibers. Obviously, if you say to your FEO, I need a 338 Lapua for gallery shooting, they're going to call bullshit. But gallery shooting, let's say, will open you up to 9mm, 38 special, 357, 44, potentially 45-70, potentially, but I think you would probably be pushing it on that. 22 rimfire, of course, is a popular gallery round. So that opens you up for a lot. But basically, if the range that you are shooting at does disciplines involving those calibers, any discipline any calibers involved in the disciplines that they do at that range, you would be able to apply for. So again, if your club has never done any 308 shooting and you apply for a 308 and it's like a mini rifle range, that's not going to fly with your FEO. Vanessa Kitty, can visitors from the USA use the ranges and clubs there in the UK, or is the process so onerous it would never be approved in one lifetime? No, Americans can come and shoot down, bad choice of words. Americans can come over and shoot. So the best exemption, which is obviously a hot topic at the moment with the firearm safety consultation, which we will be talking about in a minute. There's this miniature rifle exemption, which allows anybody, regardless, it doesn't say British nationals, it allows anybody to be able to use the guns. I'm not aware of some caveat that says people from outside can't do it. Playgrounds, again, anybody can go and use a Section 2 playground if the right exemptions are in place on that playground, and most playgrounds have the right exemptions, so you can go clay shooting. I mean, look at game shooting. People fly in from all over the world to go game shooting here in the UK. So, they fly in with their own guns, they borrow guns, it's all completely legal. Stalking as well, going and stalking in the Scottish Highlands, people fly from all over the world to come and do that. Miniature rifle ranges, anybody can go and use that legally. And if a club has an open day, so a Home Office approved club is allowed 12 open days in total a year, so one a month. KFC is very good at running these open days. There's a little bit of aggro for them, you're putting it on and scheduling it. But once it's scheduled, anybody can turn up to the range that day, member or not, and shoot club guns as a guest on the guest days. So we got, I'm from Germany, we have bad gun laws, but here you can nearly buy everything with a hunting license. Why is the UK so shitty? I don't know, I ask myself the same thing most days. I don't know, I think, well, no, I'm just going to default to the standard answer, which is our organisations over the last 20 years haven't done enough. I think there's organisations in, shooters organisations across Europe that do a far better job at protecting the sport and and gun ownership as a whole than our organisations have done in the past here. And so many organisations just rolled over when it came to the semi-auto rifle ban or the handgun ban. The NRA is almost famous for the lack of input or the lack of fight that they put up. This and okay, it's the National Rifle Association. Why would they be interested in handguns? But this is why I get so frustrated with the NRA, is because they love to impose sort of overreaching control on everything shooting. Oh, if it's anything to do with shooting, we're the national governing body, we're the head honchos. But then when it actually comes to supporting the other disciplines and, you know, basically non-target rifle shooting, they don't give a shit. And, you know, a lot of people are still very, very bitter about the lack of input and the lack of fight that was put up by the NRA back with the handgun ban. Martin Shaw, you must be doing something right with so many views watching from the USA. Thank you very much. I know. I don't know what's happened over the last few weeks. I think I saw Richard saying 100 or so people watching. That must be a record. I think last week was the record. I think we might have hit like 140, 150. So great. Welcome everyone new. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're liking. Again, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe. Give me a chance. I'll try and make it worth your while. And of course, it costs nothing to give a thumbs up. So make sure you do that as well. And again, thank you everyone for joining in. I'm not going. Don't worry. That's not goodbye. We've still got more stuff. We've still got more Basque. Still got more stuff to talk about with Basque. Talking about organisations that don't do enough. Actually, I have to say the reason that I want to talk about Basque is, to be fair to them, they are now getting behind the firearm safety consultation. So for those of you that don't know, there's a current government consultation going along. It's focusing on high muzzle energy rifles, aka 50 BMG. It's focusing on ammunition component parts, miniature rifle ranges, and also air guns. And it's actually I got it up, part of our, let's move that out of the way before I spill it on my computer. Let's bring this up. So we've got the Basque website. So this is one of the main points, and actually one of the points that is most likely going to affect the most people, because air gun shooting is the sort of largest largest area of shooting sports in the UK. But also what's very scary about air guns being affected or air guns being attacked is because it's a gateway gun. You know, most people start with air guns. Most people are introduced to shooting through air guns. And what this consultation is proposing is that they're going to ban the unsupervised use of air guns for 14 to 17 year olds. At the moment, if you're 14 to 17 years old, you can, as long as you are given it by an adult, by somebody at 18 or older, you can go off on unsupervised and use that gun. And people are making the very good points of, well, hang on a minute, you can drive a moped at 16, and actually if you're disabled, you can drive a car at 16 in the UK. So we're letting people ride around on 50cc mopeds at 50 mile an hour, but they can't go and use an air gun. Like, how nutty is that? And, you know, to be fair to Basque, and Basque, you know, Basque knows its demographics. It knows that a lot of its membership are going to be very, very impacted by any changes to airgun laws, and they're standing up. They are, you know, they're not agreeing with any of it. They're basically saying this is absolute crap. There is no evidence to support this or show that air guns actually, you know, basically there's no presented risk, and also it's not going to achieve what people think they're going to achieve. At the end of the day, the sort of parents that allow an unsuitable 14 to 17 year old to go out with an air gun and do something heinous with it or silly with it are going to still be the sorts of parents that are going to either not be aware that the law has changed or still let them go and do it anyway. So, you know, Basque have actually sort of come out very hard on this. Unfortunately, you know, they've left it, like, what's the date today? 28th. So it's like two and a half weeks away that this consultation ends. And whilst it's great to see that they're finally sort of pushing it, they're finally trying to, you know, incentivize people to get involved with it, to submit your own answers, and to give a submission to this consultation. Why has it taken this long? You know, I think this was all announced back in November, and Basque have admitted themselves that they've known about this for months, and they wait until 2.5 weeks until the bloody consultation ends. Like, it's like, what? Come on. And because I'm moving, swift, nice segue onto the next Basque point. It's because, unfortunately, they're too focused at the moment with Wild Justice, and they're too focused at the moment with Chris Packham. Again, I talked about it last week. There is a disproportionate amount of talking about game meat and talking about Wild Justice compared to the consultation, which is a huge threat on shooting sports. But Basque have had a win. They're hailing it as a significant big win. So basically, Wild Justice, spearheaded by Chris Packham, has to pay. A judge has ruled that they have to pay £10,000 in legal costs back to it's like the National Welsh Reserve or something like that. It's Basque were working very closely with them, and it's being held as a great success. So those of you that don't know, we have these things called general licenses within the UK. It allows anybody, and they're just sort of automatically, like everyone automatically has one. You don't need to apply for one. You don't need to obtain one. Just being here gives you access to this license. And Wild Justice have been trying to get the courts to revoke the licenses, which would stop all bird shooting. It would stop the shooting of crows and pigeons and magpies and so on and so forth. Pests, birds that go and destroy huge amounts of crops, that go in, kill newborn lambs. And they've been trying and trying and trying. It's been going on for quite a long time now, but they've just been unsuccessful. And to be fair to Basque, when it comes to this, they've been really hot on it. But I do have to give a little chuckle that they're hailing this judgment that Wild Justice have to pay £10,000 towards legal costs as a huge win, when Basque only last week was saying that they had spent £100,000 on it. So it's still not much of a win, if you're going to ask me. Yes, £90,000 spent is better than £100,000 spent, but trying to parade it as this massive win, it's a drop in the ocean. There's still, at the end of the day, the disruption of, again, for those of you that don't know, they were initially successful in having these general licenses pulled. So there was a good few months, unfortunately, right around the lambing season, where these licenses weren't in effect anymore, and people couldn't go and control the number of pests. Crops were being destroyed, lambs were being killed. So Wild Justice, I don't think they genuinely believe they're going to be successful. It's about causing disruption, and they're doing it very, very well. They stopped, again, during a really important period, they stopped farmers from being able to go and do their jobs properly, and they are getting Basque to spend money hand over fist, and they have to pay, they've cost Basque £90,000, and they're going to have to pay £10,000, or they've got Basque to spend £100,000, and now they're going to have to go and spend £10,000. Like, who comes out of that worse? So I think overall, in terms of disruption, in terms of being a massive pain in the backside, Wild Justice is doing a very, very good job. And Chris Packham is getting a lot of exposure. He's making use of social media. He's making use of modern medias, modern technology, and he's using it very effectively. And I think Basque, whilst they do have these wins, and whilst the general licenses are still in effect, Chris Packham's like, it makes no difference to me if I lose. Like, he has nothing to lose. If people carry on going and shooting birds tomorrow, all he's going to be is a little bit upset. If Basque lose, if Wild Justice win, shooters lose massively. So, like, Wild Justice have absolutely nothing to lose, but massive, huge amounts to gain if they're successful. And, in terms of having to pay £10,000 for legal costs, with the amount of supporters, with names like Chris Packham, the amount of money that's going to bring in, £10,000 is going to be a drop in the ocean to them. So, yeah, whilst it's a win, and a win is always good, Don't be fooled that it's the win that maybe Basque is hailing it to be. They'll be back. I can tell you that now. What's going on? Everyone congratulating David. But Chris Packham is a dick, though. Come on, yeah, he is a bit of a penis. I'm not gonna deny that. It's not that I support him in what he's doing. I just think he's actually doing a very good job at it. Basque is observing. Basque is always observing. But no, I do want to whilst I've just had a proper good moan about them, I do want to give them some credit. They have now sort of properly got behind this consultation. If it might, in my opinion, be a little bit too late, too little, too late. But they have now got behind it. Not everyone in the UK is as boring as Callum, though. Welcome, Americans. Be careful what you say, my friend. What are you guys talking about? Someone like David's done something that everyone's congratulating him on, and I really don't know what. I cannot see it. Can he see it? There's David. Oh, David Kidd. Target shooting show just announced. Proposed new 2021 dates in November. Well, thank you for stealing my thunder on that one, David. That was going to be one of the points to talk about. So an email actually went out this evening to I think it was anybody that would be interested in having a stand. Of course, Magload had a stand there last year, and we will very much be looking to have a stand there in 2021. My nose has got really stuffy for some reason. It's the COVID. It's not going to be the pollen. Meh. So what we're going to talk about. So the bad news. Let's start with the bad news first. So last week I was like, oh, the British shooting show has been postponed, but we still have the Northern shooting show and the Target shooting show. Unfortunately, the Northern shooting show has been postponed as well. Northern shooting show is normally around May time. That's cutting it a little bit too fine, and for those of you that might be unhappy about that and blaming the shows, going, oh, they're not even trying at this point, they're just cancelling it because they're scared. These events, there's a serious amount of money involved with these events, and the organisers need to sign on the dotted line months and months before they before the show goes on. So it's probably in the case of the Northern Shooting Show, it was probably coming up to that deadline where they either had to commit or they had to say no. And as far as I understand it, with a lot of these venues, if you commit and COVID cancelled it, that's on the organisers, nothing to do with the event, the event centre. So they're sitting pretty. They've been given their deposit, they've been paid X amount up front before the show. The organisers don't get any of that back. So I understand, obviously, with the Target shooting show, and dates are proposed of the 20th to the 21st of November, I think, as David might have said. So it's going to be the weekend 20th and 21st of November. So Mike, who runs the show, is saying maybe Stoneleigh, but he's not 100% sure. So everyone was very excited last year that it was at Stoneleigh. That's, of course, where the British Shooting Show used to be held. Great venue. Everyone loves it. Everyone knows it if you've been going to the shows for a number of years. And people were happy that there was a shooting show back at Stoneleigh. Mike isn't certainly ruling out. He's going to try. I think that it's about, again, the deadlines. He has less flexibility with Stoneleigh in terms of how late he can leave it. But he says he's got another venue up his sleeve if he's, if he can't use Stoneleigh. But he said if the lockdown rules at that time, if hopefully we won't be in lockdown, but if the rules allow it in November, this show will go ahead. So he's very, very happy about that, and fair play to him. I certainly wouldn't want to be in the events business at this point in time. It must be absolutely hellish. So yes, target shooting show November 20th to the 21st. I will most definitely be there. Connors will most definitely be there, and Team Magload will most definitely be there. So we will. Yes, I would highly recommend it. The target shooting show used to be the practical shooting show. Mike then opened it up to target sports, but it is still very heavily practical shooting orientated. If you're interested in getting into practical shooting and you don't know where to start, going to the target shooting show is probably one of the best shows to go to, because everyone from the practical world will be there. You'll be able to see all the practical brands that are based here in the UK, all the practical shops, and also the UK PSA and organisations involved in practical. Chris Lewis, why don't we let Bass crack on with protecting the game industry? It needs to be someone young like you to start something off for target shooting and organisation out. I'm flattered. I would relish the chance of doing it. It's something that I've talked about with loads of people before. I know that given the channel and given the reach of the channel, launching an organisation through English Shooting would be a good springboard. I have thought about it in the past, but it's a lot of work. I know, again, whilst I might slag Bask off and the NRA, I slag at the NRA off, there are some people there that do astounding work that are dedicated and put many hours in, and running an organisation like that is a full-time job. Make absolutely no bones about it. And I don't know necessarily how I would start it, what its objectives would be, how it would be run, how it would be structured. Something that I've thought about more recently, with obviously the Bask dropping legal expenses insurance, is starting an organisation which is about protecting gun owners, not necessarily in the outward lobbying for gun laws, but protection in terms of the police are doing some really questionable stuff with me, and I need help. I need advice. I need a solicitor. I need legal funding, something like that. Which seemed the UK PSA recently voted. It was the UK PSA AGM last weekend, and they voted to add legal expenses insurance to the membership. So the membership's going to go up to £60, but you're going to get basically the same thing that you used to get with Bask, as far as I'm aware. Again, the UK PSA isn't focused on lobbying. It's not focused necessarily on the politics. It's focused on practical shooting. So there would still, potentially be a room for an organisation that was focused on protecting shooters. Again, the Owners' Rights Cooperative run by Mike Lindsay is very much one of those organisations, but there's no, at this point in time, that there aren't a huge amount of membership benefits being part of the Owners' Rights Cooperative. I'm not saying Mike isn't doing incredible work. I'm not saying that Mike isn't doing a lot, because he's getting in contact with the Home Office and he's holding some pretty powerful people to task. He's doing, I think, an amazing job at that. But I still think there's room for one more. It's just a lot of time. Maybe later down, it takes time and money. I don't have a lot of either. So I blame the car, if I'm going to be completely honest. So it's it's just one of those. It's just one of the things. I'd love to do it. I guess I'm vain enough to think that I could in some way have some impact in forming an organisation like that. But for me, English shooting's enough. English shooting does enough for me in terms of reaching new people, in terms of getting new people into the sport. I don't know necessarily the benefit in turning that into an organisation. Martin Shaw, that's a very good point. Isn't that theoretically the job of the NRA? Abso-fucking-lutely. The fact that we're having this conversation when we have Bask and we have the NRA, and we're talking about another organization to do, basically to do what they should be doing, you're bang on right, 100%. Will the Smith & Wesson Performance Shop do custom works for folks in the UK? Absolutely not. We're lucky to get the guns that we have here. That's for sure. Doing custom work is just not. It's just not going to happen from Smith & Wesson. But there are some very talented gunsmiths, some very talented customizers here within the UK. So, I know like Rude Fat Dog, he makes the long-barreled revolvers from Smith & Wesson's. So yeah, he can do some pretty stunning custom work. So I would get in contact with them, of course. Connors is a pretty big wizard when it comes to guns. He can do some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, loads of talented people if you want the custom work. What happened to SRS Power on YouTube? So I know Sam fairly well. He's been on this channel, I've been on his channel. We tend to meet up every year at the shows. We're going to have one, hopefully he goes to the practical shooting show, target shooting show. Basically, I think it was just work. So, he was fairly regular on videos, but it was just work that got in the way. I know that he was traveling a lot for work, and he was having various promotions. So I think, again, Sam was running it as a side gig, basically as a bit of a hobby, as a bit of a side thing, and he just he just had to focus on the income, and that's what I say in terms of Magload and English shooting. I have obviously I put a lot of time into English shooting. I'm very dedicated to English shooting, but I've got to primarily look at what pays the bills. So your priorities are always paying your bills, aren't they? I think of how many guns you could buy if you sold the Porsche. Yes, but I have a driving license. I don't have a shooting license, so I might be able to buy a load of guns if I had the certificates. And don't forget, I've still got a lot of guns that I had prior to losing the licenses. So as soon as I get the FAC back, I'm gonna already have a fairly nice little collection of guns as straight away. Is the NRA you mentioned the same as the NRA in the USA? No. Completely different. I know, like the USA NRA isn't exactly covering themselves in glitter at the moment, but the UK NRA is, as Colin said, is actually older than the USA NRA or the US NRA, but the NRA in the UK is not necessarily a political organisation. They are not a lobbying organisation. They are focused more on the sport. Well, actually, their main focus is just Bisley and shafting their tenants, but that's another conversation in its entirety. They're not interested in the lobbying. They have their secret handshake back, closed door meetings, where there may be some crust cut sandwiches and a nice cup of tea, but not a huge amount gets done. They are just going through the motions and seem to be doing something. Again, they just absolutely rolled over on the handgun ban. They, like with the Mars, they were just so late to the punch with the Mars, so that they're just not in any way, shape. Like, if you think the US NRA is bad, we've got it worse. M. Gabriel, am I shadow banned? Not that I'm aware. I can see a comment. I think everyone else can see a comment. I'm sorry if you've been asking questions, if you've been commenting and I haven't seen it. I'm trying to. I guess this is one of the downsides with having more people. I can't physically. I'll just be here all night. So I'm just whatever's there when I happen to look over at the chat, I will. I'll look at and try and answer. How do you own guns without an FAC? Not a trick question, always wondered. So this is a technicality in the law. It was actually one of the points that Hampshire weren't very happy about with me over the 2-year period when I had lost my licenses before I'd like made it fully public. During that 2-year period, I used phrase like "my guns," and Hampshire Firearms really didn't like that, because they were like, "You're giving the impression that you own these guns," and I was like, but I do. Like, a firearm certificate is not necessarily about ownership. It's about authority to possess and buy. And we had it clarified by somebody called Adrian Whiting, who used to be a deputy chief constable. Chief constable, but he's like the go-to expert for firearms law. He's been used in various consultations. He actually wrote the Home Office guidance, right? So this guy is pretty much the foremost expert on UK firearms law, and his word is like gospel. The way it works in a court is that if you have an expert witness, you either need to discredit the expert witness or find somebody that is more knowledgeable on the subject. Well, checkmate when it comes to Adrian Whiting, because he's, I don't think there's anyone more knowledgeable than him when it comes down to the meaning of the guidance and the meaning of the law. And what he clarified was that they are in fact still my guns. They are in fact still my property, because I purchased them whilst I had the authority to do so. So just because I lost the authority to possess them, because I lost the licenses, doesn't then stop them from being my property, and therefore doesn't stop them from being my guns. And we clarified this by, if you have your guns stored at a gun shop, and because you've lost your licenses, if that gun shop then goes and sells them, that's theft. It's still your property, and you have ultimate say in what happens to your property. So legally speaking, I don't have the authority to possess them, but they still are my guns. They are still my property. If they were to be sold, I would be, well, first of all, it's my decision whether they are to be sold or not, and any proceeds would come directly to me. I can't think of necessarily an analogy to go with it, but that's how it was explained by Adrian. And so this whole thing of not referring to them as my guns, well, no, they are my guns. They're nobody else's. The UK NRA was established for training systems for defence of the realm. Yeah, this is like the funniest thing about all of this. Talking about losing my licenses, which was heavily, around, voicing, opinions about self-defence. The NRA, the NSRA, and the UK PSA, all within their sort of mission statement, it's the defence of the realm. Right? But you talk about self-defence and the police don't like it. To be fair, I need to give all the credit to Callum. Thank you. What for? For me getting into practical shooting and for going for my FAC, as his videos on YouTube is what gave me the kick up the arse to do it. Well, again, I think I already knew that, but thank you very much. It is genuinely always nice to hear that. That's why I started the channel. That's why I do the videos, to help get people into the sport. Sinner 2004, right, boys and girls, I'm off. Take it easy. Thanks for joining, as always, and I'll see you soon, mate. Can you still shoot them? Under certain exemptions, yes. So, what guns is it? So, it's basically Section 2 shotguns and 2.2 rifle. I think that's just it, actually. Basically, the 2.2 rifle can be shot under the mini rifle exemption, and the Section 2s, again, loads of exemptions to be able to go and shoot Section 2 shotguns. So yes, can still go and shoot them under the right circumstances. Of course, I can't just go and pick them up and bring them home or go to the range on my own. It has to be under the right circumstances. But yes, under the right circumstances, can still go and shoot them. Defender Phil, have you got your certificates back now? Nope, still haven't got them back. They are still in the application stage. Of course, I will update everyone as soon as I got them back. Something that might be making you think that I've got them back. Of course, I've got shotgun cartridges behind me. They're Section 2. You don't need a license to be in possession of Section 2 cartridges or Section 2 ammunition. So let's got a few more things that I wanted to talk about this evening. Did anybody see the little mishap from the MOD? And of course, you know, with this firearm safety consultation, we're very hot about ammunition at the moment. Not so much the MOD. The MOD managed to lose 1,000 rounds of 9mm ammunition. To be fair to them, they recovered 990 of them, but there are still, as far as I'm aware, 10 rounds of 9mm floating around in the ether. And this didn't actually happen that long ago, where I think it was the Met. The Met ended up losing some ammunition. It was like left on a car roof or something and ended up spilled across like the M4 or something silly. So yeah, the NABUS and the Home Office seem to be doing everything to make it harder and harder for sport shooters and private gun ownership, and the MOD seems to be giving them out like sweeties, and this harps back to when the police made the accusation that crime or criminals were obtaining their guns from legal gun owners, and then it was legal gun owners losing and not being responsible enough with their guns that was leading to all these criminals getting hold of guns. And again, when you boil down the statistics, I ended up doing a number of freedom of information requests. Statistically, the police and MOD lose more guns than British firearms owners, or say civilian firearms owners. So it does make you wonder, in terms of all of this Mars and lever release surrender, whose hands are those guns actually safer in? There's been a number of cases of people surrendering guns for whatever reason through various bans or whatever, and that gun actually finding its way onto the black market. I believe there was a firearms officer or a police officer in London that was actually taking guns out of the evidence locker or lockup and selling them on the black market. And again, if that was a confiscated gun, if that was a Mars lever release or a Mars rifle or a lever release rifle, that gun would have been statistically far safer in the original owner's hands than it would have been potentially the police. But anyway, if you ever want some free ammo, just follow behind an MOD truck. I'm sure some will fall at some point. Drag some lakes on MOD ranges and you'll find thousands of rounds and most likely a few guns. I've been watching I watch occasionally like the magnet fishers, and the stuff they pull out is absolutely incredible. It's hilarious that is controversial for you guys. I know dozens of guys in the National Guard here that constantly liberate ammo from the armory. Well, fair play. MOD 9mm comes in boxes of 50. 10 rounds missing is strange. I'm sure if you chuck a box of 59mm out of a moving vehicle at 70 miles an hour, you won't have a box of 50 rounds left. I'm sure there was a lot of scattering and a lot of hands and knees on a motorway somewhere picking it up. Is that a blank firing grenade behind you? Yes, it is. I bought it because I could, basically. It's actually been used. A lot of people have had the experience of hearing this go off because we were using it as a welcome. A welcome signal to anyone that came to the office. So it's because I've taken it apart because I don't want to drop it. You've got a safe mode, so that's in its safe mode. You twist it, and then this you've got. You can probably see there. Actually, let's try and get it. See that firing pin? So you touch that bit there, or that ends up. You drop it, and that's going to do that. And you can see when that toggles, you can see that firing pin, and you've got a blank round in there if it's going to focus. So that's what it strikes. You can put I think it's like sort of ambidextrous in a way. You can use shotgun primers in this as well, or you can use the blank rounds. I don't think I have any spare rounds. They might be in the office, but yeah, obviously keep it on safe. I did actually drop this the other day. It does have an unfired blank round in it, and luckily I can confirm that when it's in safe, it doesn't go off when you drop it. It's used for like skirmishing, it's used for like paintball matches. I just like having a bit of fun with people sometimes with it, and it's a real stonking bit of metal as well, which I really like. It's just a nice made bit of kit that you can have a bit of fun with. There was a reason, I have to say, there was a reason for a video that I bought it for. But yeah, just like scaring people with it, to be honest. You know, all's fair in love and war and all that. Doggo, what do you think about having firearms for self-defense? Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on that. So yeah, I believe people should be able to use the law to its fullest extent to be able to defend themselves when necessary. I think that's probably the best answer I could give on that one. There is now a permit to buy long guns and shotguns here now as well. My carry permit allows me to buy and sell ammo and firearms. Cool. You should buy some multi-bang pyro. That sounds interesting. Might have to go and do that. So anything else? Well, we've got a few other things. Talk about that. I think I've ticked everything off the list in terms of topics. So what else? Anything else you want to be talking about? In terms of videos, talk about videos in the works. We've got. I'm going to be doing a 1522 versus LASF 15 video. I'm going to be doing a video on. There was a bloody topic I was going to do it. I was working on it. It's going to be something. I know that's not helpful. But yeah, 1522 versus LASF 15. I'm going to probably look at some top 5 videos again. It's been a while since I've done those. So, you know, top 5 semi-auto shotguns. That's one of the most popular videos on the channel. Top 5 mini rifles. But also, I've shot enough long barrel pistols now that I can do a top 5 long barrel pistols. I know that's potentially going to be quite popular. I'm really annoyed. There was a video, maybe actually that was it. It was the I've made a similar video to this before, but maybe I'll have a bit of a think, and I'll expand on the UK versus USA gun laws a bit, and do a video on that. But what is there? I mean, oh no, I've shut down Final Cut Pro. There was definitely a video I'd started doing. I was going to talk, oh, that's what I was going to make a separate video. Like the main topic of tonight, the paint it pink. I was going to make a video on that. But yeah, 1522 LASF 15. Definitely be doing a video on that. That seems to be like everyone's #1 question these days. Like, which one should I go for? The Landtac or the Smith & Wesson? But yeah, I will be doing a series of videos as well, planning for Kentucky. It's a little bit dangerous because I don't know, you know, like David is absolutely adamant that it is going ahead, and it looks more likely that it's going ahead than not, but potentially committing to a whole series of videos on it. But we are planning, you know, like picking the house, so I can show you, you know, where we're going to be staying, you know, what route, because remember, it's not just a trip out for the week that we're doing. We're going to do like a week to 10 day massive trip around the States. We're going to visit like, 15, 20 different states along the way. So I'm going to be making a series of videos on that. Actually, that's a video. I've started a video on filling out the application form that I'm hoping to get out very soon. So I've been doing that series of getting your FAC and covering all the different steps. Well, let's the next step in that series is, of course, filling out the form. So we will I'll do a video on that, and that will be out shortly as well. I'm not going to put exactly where we're staying, you penis. I'm going to put in roughly where we're staying. But there's lots of stuff in the works in terms of videos coming out on the channel. Of course, if you're new to this stream, if it's the first time tuning in, thank you. Make sure you subscribe and like. We do this every single week, 7:30 on a Thursday evening. It's 7:30 p.m. UK time. There's usually a post that goes out on the English Shooting Facebook page, which you, of course, should go and follow to keep up to date with any news and stuff like that. But really, guys, I think that's going to be about it. I massively need a pee. My nose is running for some strange reason. I definitely got the Rona. My voice is starting to go out, and more importantly, I need another beer. So I'm probably going to I'll answer your question quickly, Doggo. Yeah, Doggo, what are your thoughts on airsoft? Absolutely love it in terms of IPSC. I think it's a great way to get people into practical shooting without licenses, competing at a high level and getting them used to everything IPSC. In terms of the skirmishes, again, fill your boots. If you're going out there pulling a trigger, as long as you're being safe, even if that's shooting at people within the safety of airsoft, go and do it. If you're going out and pulling a trigger, absolutely, thumbs up for you. But yeah, there we go, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a nice stream. I've enjoyed it. Again, they've feel a bit more fluid at the moment, a bit more in a routine. So they just seem to be getting better and better. We seem to be getting more and more likes and views and subscribers, which is great. So keep an eye on the channel. There's going to be loads of stuff coming out in the next few weeks. And yeah, some interesting things for the year ahead, some projects that we're working on, and of course I'll be keeping you all within the loop with that. So thank you everyone for tuning in and joining. Like and subscribe before you leave, and we'll probably see you next week, same time, same place, same face. There we go, guys. As always, take care, and I of course hope to see you soon.